Let's now uncomment sections 28 to 30. And these have to do with the new extended version of the addEntry we have to expand. Okay, let's select Control and /. Okay, so now over here you can see that up to this point, you can look up from the previous section. Up to this point, if you can just see the expected output from 27, or maybe from 25. From the latest section, we actually got only one entry left in the book. So for illustration, for this particular test, we're just adding more entries to there. That's what section 28 is doing. And this one has been covered by the previous section where we define addEntry. And D and E are non-existing names. So that's not special case that we are trying to deal with. Okay, and also we have 29 over here, and 29 simply just test the get reminders. Okay, nothing special here. Now for 30 here, this is something new we have to support. So you can see that, so far what we get is, you can see that after, let me just have a look at what's the expected output from 28. So from the expected output of 28, what we get is we got B, D, and E. So we got 3 entries in the book. And now we are trying to add E over here in line 228. So you can see that E does exist in the book already with the birthday. And if you look up the description in the PDF, it tells you whenever you get an existing name, what you will do is you will simply overwrite its corresponding birthday. So for example, you can see currently E was born on September 19th. So September 19th is the associated birthday for E. If you say addEntry E and then April 14th, what we will do is we'll keep that entry objects for E, but we'll override its birthday from September 19th into April 14th. That's what we'll do. Okay, so we just need to add a special case to the addEntry method. Okay, let's just go back there and then do it. Okay, so let me just illustrate the idea very quickly to you. Okay, and then hopefully that will make sense. Okay, so now let's say we have, let's not worry about the specific value for that test. I'll just illustrate to you in general. Again, we have our BB that is pointing to a birthday book. And then we have our number of entries and the entries array. Initially 0, and then it is going to point to an array of size 10. So 10 is a maximum capacity. 0, 1, 2, 3, and etc. Okay, up to 9. Let's say currently the number of entries, let me just make it something larger than 0. What about it's simply 3? Okay, that means we got 3 entries in the book. So NOE is pointing to 3. Okay, that means 0, 1, and 2, they're occupied by some entry objects. Okay, I would say E for entry over here, E for entry, and E for entry. Each entry has 2 attributes, name and birthday. Name and birthday. Name and birthday. So let's say, for example, we got A, B, and C. Let's say I'm trying to add entry of B again. So let me just only elaborate the B objects over here, saying that is pointing to a birthday object there with month and day being, let's say, June 16th, for example. Okay, let's say this is a method call we would like to execute. We say bb dot add entry over here, and then we'll say we want to add for B, and then let's say we want to have a new birthday over there. Okay, so let's say we create a birthday beforehand. Let me put it here. You can see that, just double check with the signature. You can see over here the new signature is we have the name, month, and day. Oh, actually we don't need to create any birthday objects. It's always good to check. Okay, let me just get rid of that. It's actually even easier for us. Always follow the requirements. So now what about we change that to April 18th? like that. That's how we make the method call. Okay, so basically there are two steps for this particular method call, and we'll translate these two steps into Java code in just a moment. First of all, we need to know where the entry for B is, if it exists. In this case, it does exist. It's under position 1 over here. You can see that's where we can find the B. We need to find it, and we can simply use the index of helper method that we defined in the previous section in the BirthdayBook class. And then that's step number 1. Once we find out where B is, if it exists, in this case index 1, and then we're going to somehow find out the corresponding birthday objects of that entry with the name B. And then we're going to set the birthday of that to be the one for the input. So rather than, so month is going to be 4, and the date is going to be 18. Okay, that's the second step. Okay, so these are the two steps we want to complete in order to add the entry of some existing name. We simply overwrite its birthday. We don't destroy the entry objects in any sense. We just try to set its birthday to be a new one according to the inputs. Okay, let's do this quickly. Okay, so now let's go to the BirthdayBook class over here. So let's go to the addEntry method there. And remember, we got two versions there, so we got to make sure we fix both versions properly. Okay, you can see that we only have to change one version, because over here you can see that the addEntry over here that we are supposed to do, that one there simply called this addEntry version there, which is here, as a helper method. So as long as we fix this version here, which is defined here, as long as we fix this version here, this two lines of code will just be correct, will just be updated automatically. Okay, because this one relies on this. Okay, so let's change that. So now we can say that integer index is index of, and then we can say the name. So now we can say if index is less than 0, so this means adding a entry with some non-existing name. In this case, we'll just insert the entry as before. Okay. In this case, I will simply just do what we did before. So we have to increment NOE. But in the other case, otherwise, this is the case we are adding an entry with some existing name. So now in this case, we don't have to increment NOE at all, because we are not trying to destroy or expand any new objects. We're just trying to set, override the object reference. Okay. So now what we can do is as follows. We can simply say, as easy as this. We don't have to create any new birthday like the other case. We can simply say entries rather than NOE. NOE, we only use the NOE in the case where it's a brand new entry that should be at the end of the entries array. Now we can simply say index. Okay, this index means the entry with the input name. Okay, so now we can say index, and then we can say dot set birthday to be birthday, and that's it. Okay, so now you can see that we got two cases over here. In the case where the name we are trying to add does not exist, in that case there'll be a brand new entry to be added. That's why we got update NOE, update the array. But now in the case where the entry does exist, which means the name is an existing name, in that case we only just have to go to the corresponding entry there, right? You can see this value is returned by our helper method. Before, you can see, as I said in the previous section, by defining this helper method, we can actually avoid lots of duplicates. You don't really have to repeat the same search loop over and over again. You can just call that method there. Okay, index, and then set birthday to be this birthday in the input. And now you can see that after we have changed this particular addEntry version over here, we do not have to change this version here. Why? Because this version here is simply calling this version that we just fixed as its critical step. So it's reusing the code. That's why using helper method is really a good practice because sometimes when you make a change, you only have to make a change on the helper method, and everything else that depends on the helper method does not have to be updated anymore. They will just be updated automatically. Okay, so now let's go back to our tester there, and let's just check the test. Okay, so now we are talking about basically. Let's see the over here. So now remember we were trying to remove the entry. We were trying to add an entry there. Okay, just might want to make sure I point you to the right thing. Okay, so now we only got 30 over here, right? So that's what we got. Remember in the previous test, what we got was only up to 27. Okay, so now we get 28 to 30. Okay, if you go back there, so what we get is we have these 3 output to check. Okay, let's check that. Okay, let's also make sure we got 28 to 30. Okay, so now let's check it. Let's execute the code, and what you get is 28. So we got 3 entries B, D, and E. 3 entries B, D, and E. Okay, they work. And what about 29? So 1 reminder and then D to remind. Okay, that one also work. And what about 30? So we got 3 entries in the book. In that case, you can see that what happened was we override the birthday of E from September 19th to April 14th, whereas the number of entries was not modified. Okay, for number 30, that's exactly what happened. Okay, to April 14th. Okay, so now things seem to work from the console application side. Let's now convert this into our JUnit test before we conclude this particular section. Okay, so that'll be from 28 to 30. Okay, let's now write the test. You can say add test public void test 28 to 30. Okay, just make sure the naming convention is consistent. Test. Okay, and then this is our test. And before we do that, we got to make sure we got the setup properly. Okay, so now we want to make sure. So for 28, we got our 3 entries there. That's how we start with. So we got B, D, and E. Okay, so now what we can do is we just copy this particular part. Okay, why don't we just copy the whole setup? Okay, so from the previous case. Okay, after removing A, we got B and C, and also let's be careful, otherwise we'll get things not right. Okay, so we're gonna remove entry C, and then later on we're gonna add entries, right? Okay, remove entry A and remove entry C. So you can see we start with 3 entries A, B, and C, remove A and C, so we got only B left, and then we add D and E. Okay, so now we got B, D, and E. Okay, okay, what's BD04? Okay, let's get it. BD04 is over here. Okay, we can just copy that and come back here. We can put BD04. Okay, BD04 is over here. Let's put it. Okay, that's 28. Okay. Okay, now we're going to convert the print statements into JUnit assertions. So let's see, what should that be? Okay, so now let me just borrow the expected string code. Okay, let's go to expected string, maybe the previous one. Yep. Okay, let's just get that, and then we'll see what we should do. Yeah. Okay, now over here, let's now have that. Okay, for 28, you can see that 28 there should be 3 entries in the book. Okay, so we got B, D, and E. Okay, so we have B, D, and E. B was born June 16th. June 16th. And D was born April 14th. April 14th. And E was born September 19th. Okay, and then we're going to now make sure assert equals, and then over here we're going to say expected bb.toString. Okay, so now 28 is done. Okay, let's now do 29. For 29, to remind is going to be the return value from getReminder, which is a string array. Okay, so now we can assert equals. Okay, if you see the expected output for 29, it's going to be only one reminder for D. Okay, so now it's going to be just one reminder, and it will be for D. Okay, so now I'm going to fix a typo there, and it's going to be for D. Okay, finally, let's do section 30. Okay, so now this is the new bits. So we are trying to replace the entry for E and replace his birthday from September 19th to April 14th. Okay, from here, September 19th to April 14th. Okay, what we should do is we're gonna update the expected string. Okay, that's what we should do. Okay. Let's just use this over here. We can reassign the expected to be, we still have 3 entries there, but now we're going to have B, D don't really change. Okay, they remain to be June 16th, April 14th, but E, the birthday has been overridden to be April 14th. Okay, let's put it down. April 14th. Okay, so now that should be it. And now let's execute the test cases. Okay, so now, so far we have accumulated 21 test cases, and all of them pass.